The German powerhouse was the odds-on favorite to bulldoze his way through the tournament, but fate had other plans. Enter Francisco Kagna, an unshakable, fearless Argentine who decided that no script was going to dictate his night. The match kicked off with a nail-biter of a first set, where Zverev, displaying his usual efficiency, managed to edge it out 6-4. But just when it seemed like he had everything under control, the second set took a completely different turn. Kagna smelled blood and pounced. With surgical precision, he capitalized on every blunder from Zverev, cracking his opponent's armor and securing a crucial break to storm ahead 5-2. The German tried to rally, but Kagna kept his nerve, keeping the errors to a minimum and nailing the important points when they mattered most. The set wrapped up 6-3, and suddenly, things got real. By the time the third set rolled around, Kagna was in full beast mode. Without hesitation, he cranked up the intensity, sprinting to a 3-0 lead before Zverev even had a chance to process what was happening. Desperate to mount a comeback, the German upped his aggression, but Kagna was having none of it. At 4-4, the Argentine pulled off an absolute stunner, returning what should have been a clean winner from Zverev and sending the crowd into a frenzy. That was the moment everyone knew. This was Kagna's night. Minutes later, he put the final nail in the coffin, sealing the biggest win of his career. With that, Zverev was unceremoniously dumped from the tournament, and just like that, the ATP rankings remained unchanged. This was a bitter pill to swallow for the German, who had been gunning for a deeper run to widen the gap over Carlos Alcaraz. Instead, both ended up exiting at the quarterfinal stage, leaving the race for ranking points in a stalemate. Meanwhile, in another plot twist, Alexander Mueller stepped up and said, "Not today, Argentina." In what can only be described as a shocker, the Frenchman pulled off an absolute masterclass against Francisco Cerundolo, dismantling him in straight sets. Cerundolo came out swinging, looking like a man on a mission, breaking Mueller's serve early to take a 3-1 lead. But just as quickly as he seized control, Mueller yanked it away. With a cool head and relentless precision, the Frenchman broke back and leveled the set at 4-4. Then, in a moment of sheer brilliance, he snatched another break at the perfect time, sealing the first set 7-5 and making it clear he wasn't here to mess around. The second set was straight-up demolition. Mueller shifted gears and put the hammer down, turning Cerundolo into a spectator on his own side of the court. With laser-guided ground strokes and a serve that was firing on all cylinders, the Frenchman steamrolled his way through, allowing just a single game on his way to a ruthless 6-1 victory in just 76 minutes. Not only was this a massive win for Mueller, but it also served as a reality check for the Argentines, blocking them from completely taking over the semifinals. In the end, it was a day full of surprises, heartbreaks, and some truly ridiculous shot-making, just the way tennis should be. The ATP 500 in Rio was shaping up to be an Argentine takeover, with 4 players ready to bulldoze their way into the semifinals. But then Alexander Mueller showed up like an uninvited guest at a family barbecue and said, "Not today, muchachos." His victory meant that Francisco Kagna would be Argentina's lone warrior in the chase for the title, adding another layer of chaos and suspense to an already unpredictable tournament. With the semi-finals now locked in, the battle lines are drawn. Francisco Kagna will try to keep his dream run alive against the French spoiler Mueller, in what promises to be a fireworks-filled showdown. On the other side, the winners of the remaining quarter-final clashes will duke it out for the last ticket to the grand finale. The big question looming over the tournament is, can Kagna keep his nerve and reach his first-ever ATP 500 final, or will Mueller play party pooper once again? One thing's for sure, this tournament has already thrown the script out the window, and nothing is off the table. And speaking of mad comebacks, let's talk about Jack Draper, the British wrecking ball. His quarterfinal match against Lehecka had the makings of a thriller, but few expected the absolute roller coaster ride that followed. Lehecka, who had already sent Carlos Alcaraz packing in the previous round, started the match looking like he was on a mission to bulldoze another victim. The Czech stormed through the first set, 6-3, and everything pointed to another statement win. But Draper, clearly a guy who loves the drama, decided to flip the script. With the second set hanging by a thread, the Brit unleashed his inner gladiator, forcing a tense tiebreak where he showed nerves of steel and out-muscled Lehecka to even the match. That's when things got ugly for the Czech. The brutal battle against Alcaraz had taken its toll, and by the third set, he looked like a man trying to run through quicksand. Draper smelled blood, went for the kill, and wrapped up the match with a clinical 6-3 finish. With this win, Draper marches into the final, but the echoes of Alcaraz's loss still linger. The Spaniard came to Doha riding the momentum of his Rotterdam title, yet his early exit against Lehecka now feels even more painful considering his conqueror barely lasted another round. Which brings us to the burning question: what the hell is going on with Carlos Alcaraz? He's ranked number 3 in the world, he's got all the tools to dominate, and yet, he keeps shooting himself in the foot when it matters most. Sure, he looked like a clear favorite in Doha, but Lehecka's relentless aggression turned him into a deer in headlights. The Spaniard had no answers, no plan B, and ultimately, no chance. Meanwhile, on the other side of the draw, Andrei Rublev was busy proving he's still one of the meanest competitors on tour. The Russian fought like a man possessed to book his spot in the ATP 500 final, surviving a grueling war against Felix Auger-Aliassime. The scoreline says it all: 5-7, 6-4, 7-6, 5. This wasn't just another win, it was a statement. Rublev, who had been questioning his own game and confidence lately, just reminded everyone why he's a legit monster on the court. The win breathes new life into his season, giving him the chance to lift another ATP 500 trophy and shut down all the doubters. But standing in his way is Jack Draper, the fearless Brit who's out here wrecking people's tournament dreams. So here we are. The ATP 500 final in Doha is set, and it's shaping up to be a must-watch battle. Will Draper cap off his wild run with his first ATP 500 title, or will Rublev flex his experience and add another trophy to his resume? One thing is clear: this final is going to be pure, unfiltered tennis chaos. And as for Alcaraz, it's time for some soul-searching. With Jannik Sinner skipping Doha, this was his golden opportunity to dominate. Instead, he crashed and burned. If he wants to keep up with the elite, he needs to fix his inconsistency fast. The match against the Czech was yet another roller coaster ride in the Alcaraz experience. A wild mix of brilliance and frustration that left fans shaking their heads. He started slow, got his act together, and then completely fumbled the bag when it mattered most. After losing the first set 3-6, he stormed back with a solid 6-3 win in the second. But then, when victory was within his grasp in the deciding set, he choked the lead away and crashed out 4-6. And this isn't a one-off disaster. It's starting to look like a full-blown pattern. One moment, he's pulling off legendary performances, and the next, he's dropping matches he should be closing with his eyes shut. This hot and cold streak has cost him more than a few titles, and with Indian Wells just around the corner, the pressure is mounting. Last year, he arrived in California with serious question marks over his form, but then he pulled off a freaking masterclass, taking down Daniil Medvedev and Jannik Sinner to claim the title. Can he do it again this year? Or are we about to witness another episode of Alcaraz almost gets there but screws up? If there's one thing that could give him an extra mental boost, it's the Laver Cup. It might not be an official ATP event, but for Alcaraz, last year's edition worked wonders for his confidence. Coming off a rough stretch on tour, he used the team format to shake off the nerves and rediscover his mojo. His debut was, well, not exactly legendary. He lost his first match and then had to play doubles alongside Alexander Zverev just to get some footing. But then, something clicked. He turned the tide and bagged 2 clutch singles wins, including a statement victory over Taylor Fritz to help secure the title. That experience was so damn good for him that he didn't even hesitate to confirm his return for the 2025 edition, set to take place in San Francisco from September 19th to 21st. And the hype train for Laver Cup 2025 is already in full motion, thanks to a blockbuster announcement. Alexander Zverev is officially in. The German powerhouse, currently ranked number 2 in the world, brings a truckload of experience and a resume that speaks for itself. His brutal ground strokes, monster serve, and ice-cold mentality have made him a Laver Cup legend, consistently stepping up when Team Europe needed him most. With multiple Masters 1000 trophies and an Olympic gold medal under his belt, Zverev has built a rock-solid reputation as one of the most consistent forces on tour. And let's be real, his addition makes Team Europe even scarier. With the old guard fading away, Federer long gone and Nadal likely stepping away from the event, it's now up to the next-gen stars like Alcaraz and Zverev to carry the torch and keep Europe's dominance alive. And with those two already locked in, the question now is, who the hell else is joining them? The anticipation is off the charts. Fans are dying to see what other big names get added to the European squad, and with a lineup this stacked, Team World better bring their A game. Let's not forget, the World team actually snatched the trophy in 2022, proving they're no pushovers. You can bet they're cooking up their own super team to give Europe one hell of a fight. This is shaping up to be one of the most insane Laver Cups in recent memory. Buckle up,